Good afternoon, everybody. I'm Heather Bell, the Director of Membership for the Orange County Chamber of Commerce. Welcome today. We are going to be joined by Daniel Lepore.
Hello.
Hi, Daniel.
Hi.
Daniel is the Executive Vice President for LCS Facility Group, based out of Poughkeepsie, New York, who's been a member of the Orange County Chamber of Commerce for 1.5 years. Welcome again, Daniel.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, it's our pleasure. So LCS is a family-based company. I've been interviewing an awful lot of family-based companies. It warms my heart to see the generations continuing the legacy of what's started previously. So Dad Joe started LCS in 2001.
Correct. Yep.
The van with 5 employees down in Westchester. So tell our viewers, how did LCS come about? How did Dad start this? 5 people, a van. What was the inspiration?
So my father was a regional manager for Marriott Corporation. He was in charge of restructuring hospitals and setting up hospitals because Marriott Management Services owned a lot of hospital-based, senior centers, daycare, elderly care type facilities. So he got his experience for the last 20 years prior to that in healthcare and running hospital type organizations. So he had a friend that said, "Hey, you know what? Let's go off on our own. Let's do this as our own business, cleaning hospitals and healthcare and offices." So he says, "Yeah, let's try it." So that was 1997. He did that for about 3-4 years. He started in Westchester, Manhattan, did a lot of operations. And then September of 2001 came and he went off on his own. Ironically enough, September 12th, 2001 is the day that LCS was born. And literally that day, so just in the morning, like 10 a.m., he went and signed the corporate docs, the lawyers. And that night, he got a call from a developer down in Manhattan and said, "Hey, we have a building that obviously was just destroyed by the terrorist attack. We need you down here. We need to get it cleaned up." So that's it. Literally the timing was, you couldn't ask for better timing from a business standpoint. Obviously,
right.
The sad issue was the terrorist attack, but so we took our employees and our equipment and he headed down there. He spent about 2 months down in the World Trade Center, traveling back and forth every day. And that's what really propelled LCS.
So that's a story. Wow.
Yeah.
And so now you joined in 2003, and what vision did you bring to this organization now that's now established? They know where their niche is. They're in Westchester County at that point still. So what vision did you bring to them to help expand their services?
So I worked in high school for a landscaping company, and I had a passion for it. I loved to do it. I love really building things and turning something from nothing to something beautiful to look at. So I told my father, I said, "Hey, we're doing a lot of inside work. Why don't we do the outside work? Why don't we take care of their facilities, their grounds?" And he says, "Yeah, you know what? We can do that. We get a lot of calls for it, but we just don't do it right now." So that's why we started the landscaping side of the business, and it really just grew on its own. I mean, it evolved to its own big company. Today, it has 50 employees on that side of the business alone, and I never imagined it being that big. But we are competing with a lot of companies locally that have been around for 50 years, and we have only been around for the last 16 years or so.
Wow, that's impressive. So that's, you've really become a full service business now, and we'll touch on that a little bit more as we go into our build here of your growth. So now that's 2003, the recession in 2008, 2009, how did that affect the business?
So it's a great point. So going to the recession, 2001 obviously happened. It propelled the company, but what happened was the businesses down in the New York City, Westchester market, everybody started migrating north. So when that happened, Dutchess County became really, really booming. And we didn't have to go down in Manhattan and to work anymore. So as that happened, we were 2005, 2006, 2007, we were doing phenomenal here. And then the recession hit 2008, and we said, oh my God, what are we going to do? We're still a new young business. But it was quite the opposite effect. We thought, we're going to, struggle, we're going to have to lay off people. What ended up happening was, as people were laid off of work, we were getting, resumes say, hey, I used to be an IT manager, I used to be this, but I need a job. I'm willing to do anything. And to that benefit of someone else's hard work, we said, you know what, we have a job for you. It's going to be cleaning, but I know it's not what you used to do before, but it pays decent. We offer 401k and health benefits, and we could do this for you. And that actually triggered a new generation for us, because customers were still flocking to us because they still had to get their facilities cleaned, or they wanted to outsource their operations. Maybe they had staff that were retiring, and the recession just basically said, you know what, they don't want to work anymore. So they called us to outsource their facilities, and then we had a great labor force that was laid off that we took on board, and it was a perfect marriage. So it just propelled us to the next level. Fast forwarding, and we actually grew more in the recession than we did in a booming economy, ironically enough.
Wow. And so just to touch on that, and how did construction come in? You have construction cleaning. What exactly is construction cleaning?
So construction cleaning is really the grassroots of what started LCS. That's the crew that went down to Manhattan and did the cleanup. So there are a bunch of crews that are project based. So they report to work every day. They go in and they clean new construction facilities or renovations or windows or strip and wax, carpet cleaning, air duct cleaning. So they do the one-off services, the mold remediation. And through the 9/11 event, they went down there, they cleaned the facilities, they got it back to where it was manageable for someone to move in. And then we maintained after that. And that's what we did up here. As the developments started coming in and new buildings and plazas and apartment complexes started being built, we would go in and clean them and let the people move in, and then we'd maintain going forward.
Great. So LCS is very well versed in rising from a crisis, it seems. The business excelled both through 9/11, through the 2008, 2009 recession, and here we are in another crisis. What sets you apart from others that are out there saturating the market, claiming to be experts? We talked about the expertise in healthcare sector and high touch sterilization that Dad came from. But what tell us about LCS and what is making you again excel in a crisis?
So I guess the difference between us and a competitor is all of our staff, all 500 employees, have been trained on the highest level of cleaning, which is, in our opinion, healthcare. There is no better, unless you go to a clean room operation, but it's very similar in the sense it's high touch sterilization. Our staff have been trained on that. And I don't know of many companies locally that really focused on the highest level of clean. And I think that's what sets us apart normally, because there's different verticals in our business. There's healthcare, there's education, there's your traditional BSC, which is building service contracts. And we treat each different, but our staff are all trained to the highest level. So terminal cleaning, for example, you go into a room in a healthcare facility and it's complete sterilization of the room, top to bottom. And our staff have been trained on that. They have experience in that. Our management is experienced in that. Our training modules really talk to that. And we haven't seen other companies really dive deep into the training. Most of our competitors, they're smaller operation. They just go in and say, hey, I can clean this and do that. But it's not the level, I think, that the training we provide. To be honest, I think it's super important that we continue that. And our mold certifications, our carpet cleaning certifications, we understand what clean is, and we try to train all from the top down and get certified to all our staff.
And training to me is just so important, and continued training, and constant training, and reevaluating your training. To me, you just can never know enough. Even as a leader, you should always be evaluating your leadership skills. So what about product? Is there a specific product that is indigenous to your brand?
So about 5 years ago, LCS created its own cleaning chemical line. We have it. We haven't mass promoted it yet. We're still we provide it to our customers currently. We are looking to start a supply business where we can then take those products and really broadcast them to the open market. It's been more of a B2B type situation. So I think that's going to be coming for us 2020. The supply chain, the procurement of this whole COVID issue, supplies, cleaning supplies has been an unbelievable market, and we've luckily benefit from that. But we're running out of goods and supplies to really keep selling, so it's going to be a little bit of a challenge. So we're excited for that.
Well, it sounds like you can rise to challenges very well at LCS.
Yes, we can. Yes.
But, I'm very impressed with how each decade you seem to have, presented an opportunity for LCS to grow in services. What about locations? Have your locations expanded, or are you just still primarily in Dutchess County?
So we were, born and raised in Dutchess County, but we've always worked all over the tri-state. So 2012 came about, and a large customer of ours, a big institution, said, "Hey, I want you to take over my full grounds of my building." So I said, "Oh, okay, great. We love to." So it was literally 100 people that we had to hire in a matter of 3 months and get them trained and get them situated to the site. The customer was so happy that 3 years later, they said, "You know what? I have a campus in Texas and a campus in California. We're having trouble with our vendor out there. Would you take it on?" So we're like, wow, I mean, that's an unbelievable opportunity for us. How do we manage operations from the other side of the country? So you know what? We picked up our tools and we headed out there, and it's been a great success. It's the business side of things has been a very different understanding of how the rules and the laws in California to Texas to New York are. The employment dynamic and understanding the cultures has been very different.
Sure.
But I think it's really it shaped us to really take on anything. If we can do business in California, New York, you could pretty much do in any state.
Mm-hmm.
So you know what? We manage remotely well. We're going to continue this growth. So we said Albany was our next target. So we set up an office in Albany, and that happened about a year ago. And now we're expanding that market. And now we are in 2 weeks setting up an office in Long Island here in New York. So I think the growth is going to continue for us. Connecticut, New Jersey are great markets for us, but we're gonna keep pushing forward.
That's wonderful. Daniel, I like to look at the positive in the face of negativity. And so what I see here is that for LCS and for our community, you're here to help with cleaning, both for the COVID and for whatever, recent tragedies that our community may have sustained structurally as well.
Yeah.
So thank you for all that your organization is able to provide as far as services. You really have expanded tremendously. The conversation that we had earlier about being able to go from, the build and cleaning the build, and then having the forethought to say, you know what, we just cleaned up the build. Now somebody's moving in here. So let's talk to them about being able to maintain a clean structure for their organization or their home. Right. And to actually have the vision to take it outside of the home is just, I'm very impressed with the way that you were able to structure the organization, move the organization, pivot the organization. That's the new word now, pivot, right? So you've really been able to be a true entrepreneur in doing that. So kudos to you and to all of your team at LCS that you are such visionaries. But I touched on community, and anybody that knows Heather Bell, they know Heather Bell always talks about what do we do for the community. So are there any charities that you like to support in particular?
Well, there's a ton, from the chambers to just local community events and organizations. We recently teamed up with Access Supports for Living. We are we're really like what they do, what they stand for. They have a great team. Ron and Chris Masters there, they're bright minds, and so we've teamed up recently on how we could work together, support each other, buying supplies. They make a lot of PPE supplies, they distribution. So we're now pushing those products to our customers to get their revenue really moving. So we have a great group of community people that were involved. My father always started to take care of your community, give back, and we're going to continue that legacy. More even focused here in the Hudson Valley where we live. So we're excited. I think this crisis we're in we're gonna come out of it strong. I think the New York's gonna come out of it strong. It was so hard hit, and we're gonna prevail.
Thank you so much, Daniel. Thank you to you, to your entire team, to your dad. He really instilled some really good values in you.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
A great supporter of the chamber. Can you please tell everybody how they can reach LCS?
So yeah, you can reach us at lcsfacilitygroup.com, info@lcsfacilitygroup.com. 866-800-4LCS is our phone number. And for many of you who have my cell phone number, you can always call me. I'm not going to give that out, but so we're available 24/7. If you have questions, you need help on a cleaning plan for this COVID issue, we're here to help. A lot of consulting we can do, so no problem.
Thank you, Daniel. And for all of our chamber, I would like to remind you that we are going to be joined by CMIT on Wednesday for another Meet the Member this week. We also have our coffee break this Wednesday at 3 p.m. That is a members only exclusive event, and they're actually going to be changing their times now. So we heard the call. Members said we can't always make it at 3 o'clock. So you have to check the time. Some of them will be at 9 a.m. Some of them will be noon. Will always be Wednesdays, and all members are welcome to participate all the time. This Thursday, Thursday the 11th, we have our breakfast, and this time our speaker is going to be Mim Simph, and she is with Motivity Partnerships Incorporated and Global Women for Wellbeing, and she'll be talking to us about reopening your business. Mim is so dynamic. We're so excited to have her. And then on Monday, we also have another Meet the Member with our member Stronger You. So it was so great to see everybody. Thank you for joining us, and we look forward to seeing you again on Wednesday. Have a great day, everyone.